I'm not going to get irrational about any of this stuff. I truly believe in what I believe right now because I think people...
Well, what do you believe?
Well, here's what I believe. I believe Shedeur Sanders, if, and we'll talk about this a little bit later in the show, so I don't want to give everything away, but if this was a redshirt season for him, the Browns would have been better off in the beginning of the season saying, it's a redshirt season, and they probably should have hung on to one of their veteran quarterbacks if they truly wanted to redshirt him this year. That's part of it. I think Shedeur is young. I don't think anyone ever thinks about that at all. I also, Gabriel's just because of his time in college is a little bit older, and I think that's one of the reasons. I'm tired of trying to determine where he should have been drafted. It doesn't matter anymore. He was taking snaps for the Browns yesterday. I have all these thoughts, and Shedeur, who knows? When he said yesterday that was the first time he had taken a snap with some of the first teamers, I was just shell shocked because I thought he was getting some of those reps during the week late in practice. But, Kevin verified that yesterday. And so, he was just excited to be on the field with Jerry Jeudy yesterday. That, you can't put a guy who is one snap away from playing in a position to have never played with guys on the field before. Andy,
that's the way the NFL works.
No, the minute they decided to make him the number 2 quarterback is the minute they should have found 4%, 3% of the reps for him in practice. You can't. They knew he was one play away. I get it. If they would have said he's redshirting in the beginning of the year and that they hung on to one of the veteran quarterbacks, it all would have made sense. But the minute they decided to make him the number 2 quarterback, you have to be prepared. And I'm not saying you've got to be prepared to start. You've got to have some kind of rhythm with the offense. And to me, it was mind-blowing, the excitement you could see in his eye that he had the chance to go play with the first teamers. That's mind-blowing to me that they couldn't carve out 4% of practice, 3% of practice to have your number 2 quarterback. Doesn't matter what his name is, doesn't matter where he is on the roster. I cannot believe that. And Kevin said it yesterday about rookie quarterbacks. I understand they want Gabriel ready, and they know he's a rookie quarterback, and he needs all that stuff. But when you decided to make your number 2 quarterback another rookie, he needed some reps. And I'm okay with what he did at the end of the game.
That makes some sense. It's just not the way it's usually done in the NFL. That makes some sense.
But how often do you have 2 rookie quarterbacks the way they do in this
I get
position?
it, yeah. But that's just not the way it's usually done in the NFL. Tyvis Powell, yesterday in the postgame show, Tyvis is going to join us at noon, by the way. Mm-hmm. I said, Tyvis, explain this. And he said, backups never get any reps. I know that, covering the league for decades. That's the way it works. That said, your point's accurate. It would have been nice had the guy had a chance to work with some of these fellas. I flashed back yesterday to Joe Thomas introducing himself. I believe it was to Josh Johnson when he came on the field to play quarterback. Joe said...
No, it was Blake Hansen, wasn't it? Hi, my name is Blake. Do you remember that one?
No.
Yeah, that was another one of those.
That was Baker talking to an offensive lineman.
Oh, you're right.
Joe Thomas introduced himself to the quarterback when he came out on the football field. And I think it was Josh Johnson. But that's just the way this works in the NFL. I'm not going to yell and scream.
I'm not either. I'm not yelling.
That they didn't get snaps to him. Okay, they're trying to prepare the other guy to play because the other guy in their mind is further along and they liked him more, at least for now. We'll talk about Shedeur all day. We'll talk about Dylan all day. I thought Dylan looked a little bit better yesterday. I saw some progress. I thought Shedeur had some moments where I thought, that's interesting. And he had some others. It's well, that's why he's not playing. And that's all okay.
Yeah, I agree.
That's okay. And I'm not going to sit here and defend the coaching staff. I'm not going to defend Shedeur. Shedeur looked like a guy. For instance, Andy, that on the final drive, that pass to Harold Fannin over the middle for 25 yards to get it down to I believe it was the 35-yard, the 35
inside the 40. Yeah,
it was a nice pass.
It was a nice pass.
It was a nice pass.
By the way, the almost touchdown pass was a nice pass too. I thought it was.
I thought that was
great coverage.
I thought
if he moves forward, it's pass interference. If Larvidan moves forward, it's pass interference.
Well, to me, what that was, hey, Travis, I'm going to throw this up, and since you're the Heisman Trophy winner and going to be the second overall pick, you'll make the play. Gage Larvidan is not Travis Hunter. And that said, Gage had a chance to make that catch. So,
He did.
But that's what I saw a lot on tape watching Shedeur when he was at Colorado was, hey, I'm going to throw it because Travis is going to go get it. Well, he didn't have Travis Hunter yesterday, and he didn't have anybody with his skill set yesterday at wide receiver. And that's a different type of thing that he's going to have to get used to. I thought Shedeur was not good yesterday. That's okay. That's okay. He had never played in an NFL game. He was 4 of 16. I mean, that's atrocious. But
he knew it, though. He knew it after the game.
Sure, yeah. But that's okay. I mean, if you expected him to go out and just light it up, I think you were delusional. And if he had, it would have been awesome. Would have been awesome. But he showed some things that made me think, okay, let's work on it and let's let him develop. And that's okay. You know, a guy who, for instance, when Baker came in and played in his first game, when Tyrod Taylor got hurt, Baker was better. Well, guess what? Baker was the number 1 overall pick. They expected him to be better. And where a guy is drafted might tell you what teams think about how he needs developed. And to me, that's what this was about. That's what it was about. You ended up with 2 quarterbacks, Andy. Neither one of them right now, look like the answer at quarterback. That doesn't mean they can't become the answer at quarterback. But given this situation the Browns are in, with 2 number 1s next year, 2 rookie quarterbacks right now, opportunity, some free agents, it'll be really interesting for us to watch and talk about how they approach this. Because, man, they have to find a quarterback, whether it's one of these 2 guys, whether it's a veteran, and they drop him in for a while, whether it's somebody they draft next year. And guess what we're going to be talking about now till draft day and beyond.
Here's the point, the other point about Sanders. At the end of the game, they asked the kid to drive 80 yards with limited, the offensive line.
65.
Is that where they were? It was back there. They asked him to drive the ball 65 yards. He didn't have the luxury of being able to get them in field goal range either to try to, tie the game. They were down a touchdown.
Well, they were down a touchdown because the offense was putrid in the second half and not much better in the first.
That's not the point. Right. The point for me on this is
the quarterback. They had no choice but to ask him to do that.
Well, I know, and he put them in a position to be within inches of tying the game in his first. Everyone's got a first day at work, don't they? And it never goes perfect. And sometimes you got to figure out how to log into the computer. You got to figure out where the bathrooms are. You got to figure out where the supply closet is. You got to figure out how to do this, how to do that.
Supply closet's really good to know.
It is, especially if you run out of pens.
You can get pens.
I just think that yesterday was his first day at the office, and like he said after the game, it was the first time he's been hit in a year. I can't sit here and crush him. I think that the problem I have with the entire situation is if the Browns just would have been open and honest, and we're going to talk about this, probably coming up, that Jason Lloyd had said that the Browns had planned on redshirting him this year. Why didn't they just come out and say that in the beginning of the year? So there would be zero expectations. So there would be, unless things go...
You still would have had people screaming.
Well, that's okay. At least we would have known what the expectations were. And why didn't they hang on to a veteran quarterback? Why didn't they hang on to one of those guys? I just don't get it. It doesn't. And Jeff, we talk about how it normally, the backups don't get time. You know why? A lot of those backups have already played in the league, and they've already had experience somewhere else where they had to cut their teeth a little bit. It's not all. How many 5th round picks are starting right now at quarterback, or have the opportunity to start this week at quarterback in the league that are rookies?
That are rookies.
Yes.
Well, how many 3rd rounders? That's Dylan Gabriel.
Right, that's a great point.
It's the same deal.
That's a great point. And so it was his first day at work yesterday. I'm not going to sit here and look at the overall picture. The Browns did not set this up for success. That is the total bottom line. You drafted 2 quarterbacks. You put yourself in this position. You drafted a guy who is extremely popular, and that was evident when he came in the game yesterday. That crowd got electric. And then when Larverdin had the chance to catch that touchdown, the crowd was and then it was dead silence afterwards.
Look, I think it's fair to say.
They put Gabriel in a horrible spot, too. They did. They never really give this... They put him in a position when they drafted Sanders to not have any chance of having him being embraced by the city. It's just, and it was evident yesterday again. The backup quarterback is always the most popular guy, and when you've got a guy who's already popular, it makes it even harder for success. If they just would have been honest in the beginning of the season and said Sanders is going to redshirt, it would have changed the whole dynamic. Would have for me.
I think that's perception. At some point, things change sometimes, and things change here. I think this is fair to say. You tell me what you think. If the entire goal this year was to win football games, okay? If the entire goal was to win football games, then you don't trade Pickett, you probably don't trade Flacco, and you start Bailey Zappi once you do trade both of those guys. Bailey Zappi's actually won a couple of games in the league. He was 4-4 in New England.
And where will Zappi be this week? By the way, they had no emergency quarterback. If Sanders got hurt yesterday, what were they doing? That's a question that gets asked if they win yesterday.
Question. But I think their goal this year, Andy, was twofold. Try to win football games while seeing if you have a quarterback for the future, which I get. I get that. Here's the thing that I want to just make sure everybody knows this is what I think. Shedeur was not good yesterday. That's okay. This is why they've been bringing him along slowly and giving him a chance to develop. And they've not developed him. They didn't give him first-team reps. You want to make that argument? Valid point. Okay, valid point. Except they obviously like Dylan Gabriel more, and they're trying to develop him because he's the starting quarterback. But if you think anybody saw anything out of Shedeur yesterday that makes you think, yes, we have our guy, it's just because you're so in love with Shedeur that that's what you want, and that's okay too.
See, here's where I disagree with you, Jeff. I'm not in love with either one of these guys, but I did see a guy who got the ball at the end of the game who had struggled earlier in the game. They gave him the opportunity, and maybe Baltimore's defense was a little bit softer on that last drive, but he put them in a position to have a catch in the end zone to tie things up. That's what I saw. I don't love...
On the final drive, he was 2 of 7 for 35 yards.
Doesn't matter. He got him down the field. I don't care if they got down on penalties. They figured out a way that when he was there to have an opportunity to shoot for the end zone and try to tie things up. It's just sometimes guys can... Again, it's not because you love Shedeur Sanders that you could have a little bit of okay, I wonder what this is going to look like.
I thought it was fun, and I thought he made a couple of nice throws. But,
yeah.
he was 4 of 16. He looked very overmatched.
He had one drop. One of those passes was dropped.
That's
at least
all
one
okay.
of them was.
Well, welcome to the club.
Yeah.
Call Flacco and Dylan Gabriel and ask what they
get
think
it.
about
But I'm just saying, Jeff, it's not. I don't think you have to love. You don't have to be on the, oh my God, he's the savior train to say, oh, okay. And when you add all the elements, and they're not excuses, the elements to what's going on. Offensive line, not very good. Does he have the greatest wide receiving core? No. Has he worked with the first team at all? No. There's a lot of reasons to kind of wonder. This isn't about love. This is about wonder, and wonder if they have to waste 2 draft picks or waste a draft pick on I shouldn't even say waste. Wonder if they have to draft a quarterback next year. That's all. Again, I'm not I wasn't sitting here screaming for Sanders, but I wasn't against Sanders the whole time too.
Well, and Andy, all we want is for one of these guys, somebody at quarterback, to succeed here. The only difference between Shedeur and Gabriel in what's gone on here, in the factors involved in this, is that Gabriel was getting first-team reps because they clearly liked him better because they drafted him sooner and Shedeur didn't beat him out.
Sure.
I mean, that's the only difference. Dylan's thrown to the same wide receivers. He's playing behind the same line. And it's not one or the other. I don't know which one's going to be better. I don't know. If either one of them is here in 2 or 3 years, who knows?
So, but here's the other thing, too. I mean, you said he didn't beat him out. And if Jason Lloyd said, and we're going to talk about this later in the show, if they knew he was in a redshirt year the entire season, then he wasn't given a chance to beat him out. If they knew the second they drafted him in the 5th round that this was going to be a redshirt year for him, I mean, if I was a coach and I knew someone was coming into redshirt, I knew that the odds of him beating somebody out.
Go ahead and say exactly what you're referencing.
What do you mean? Oh, Jason Lloyd said that it was a redshirt year.
In the Athletic.
Yeah, in the Athletic. Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But if that's true,
he wrote a story and said that.
And if Kevin and the front office believed that it was a redshirt year, then he truly wasn't given a chance to try to have his starting, to be on the, to be able to be a starter this year. They didn't want it. And that's okay. He's a 5th-round draft pick. I get it. And don't sit here and argue and say he's not a 5th-round draft pick, because he was. I can't, what media says is talk, and we are talk, and it's all there. But the bottom line is he wasn't the first quarterback they picked, just like you've said, and I totally agree with that.
The one thing about it, Andy, and if their plan was to bring him along slowly, you obviously can't redshirt in the NFL, but you don't have to play anybody. And here's why I say you didn't beat him out. You think that the San Francisco 49ers expected Brock Purdy to beat out Trey Lance, who they gave up number 1 picks for?
No.
But they saw enough in practice that he earned more reps. He earned more stuff. And I can only assume, since I'm not watching practice all the time, and media is not allowed to watch practice all the time, I can only assume that Shedeur did not do what Brock Purdy did in San Francisco, which is impress enough to think, yep, he deserves more. Let's go.
But if you're not put in the position to do that, you're never going to be able to do that.
Oh, but he's out on the practice field. I mean,
but Jeff, if you're out
in training camp, but keep this in mind. He was 4th string at the start of training camp.
Yeah, no, I get it.
So
I understand. And somehow, some way, the coaching staff said, you know what, let's put him in a position where we can see what he looks like. If the redshirt status was true, as a coaching staff, you would never put him in a position to go out and try to earn the starting job or earn a shot of being the active quarterback early on in the season when you had a veteran. Like, why in the world did they get rid of one of the veterans? I don't understand it. To me, that's absolutely mind blowing.
Should have kept one.
Yes.
Yep.